Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to talk about how my wife and I pack our 2003 Mitsubishi Montero for camping. And a lot of this is going to be similar to like anyone else who's going on a camping trip. But I think the things that are unique about this is we've done a lot of multiple week trips in this car. So we've done 2 or 3 2-week trips in this car, and we pack pretty light. We're able to pack everything we need for the whole trip, and we're able to see out the back. We're able to sleep inside the car. And so I think the way we've got it packed is pretty cool. I want to show you guys how I've maximized that space. And so we're going to start in the back where I've got everything packed up. This is usually how it goes. Pretty much we unpack this every day and then we repack it every night, but it's not too much work. And I'm going to start up here on top of the sleeping platform. So right here we have our sleeping camp pad mattress thing. This is an X-Ped, and this takes up the entirety of the sleeping platform, which is really nice. It's about 4 inches thick, and so it makes for a really nice night's sleep. And then we've got our 2 sleeping bags right here. We have 0-degree bags so that we can sleep in the cold Montana winters, or I guess spring and fall. We don't really do a ton of winter camping, but these keep us really warm, and those are going to come out every single night. And then we packed, for this trip, we packed full pillows because we have the space, and it's just nice to have a full pillow. Down here, we've got 2 camp chairs. I like to keep these really accessible. It's one of the first things you grab when you show up at camp is your chairs. And then these right here are some tables that we got from REI. And what I love about these is they're maybe about 3 square feet a piece, but they make for a really easy way to set up and get some horizontal space. And so these pack down really light. You can see they're smaller than the camp chairs. And so these are super light, super easy to move around. And they're also good for working on the car project. So if you got a bunch of tools out and whatever, that's really nice. But these are all really accessible. And then over here, we got just a bunch of miscellaneous. We got some blankets. We got an air pump for our mattress. We got our camp towels. I'll show you these in a little bit. These are the things that hold up our sleeping platform. And this is just, we got some lights. I've got a pair of swim trunks, blah, 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 first aid kit. It's good to have this in a miscellaneous container. And this container fits really well when we fold out the sleeping platform and need to put things underneath. And so this is where, this is the more exciting part, I think, of the build, is that I've got this sleeping platform. And if you've seen any of my overviews, you know that this thing accordions out, and I'll show you that in just a second. So all this stuff comes off, it folds forward and touches the front seats. And then my wife and I are able to sleep back here very comfortably, sheltered from the elements, sheltered from animals. It's a pretty comfortable setup. But underneath is where we keep a lot of our food stuff. And so right over here, this is our kitchen. And the nice thing about that is we can pull this out. It's all in one container, and this has everything we need to cook a meal. So I'll actually drop it down here. And you can see we've got pots and pans, we have silverware, we've got utensils, we even have, there's some coffee in there. We got all sorts of stuff. It's kind of a mess right now. We keep it kind of just all, it's messy and in here because we're always grabbing different stuff out of it. We got a jet boil, blah, blah, blah. The stove is down there. But the nice thing with this is we're able to take this right as it is, and we can, because it's mobile, it's not attached to the back of the vehicle with drawers or anything, we're able to bring this to a park bench, or we're able to bring it to a different campsite. And that allows us to really change up the way we do this camping setup. We're not stuck right here in the back of the vehicle. And so I like that. It also means at the end of our trip, we can pull that whole thing out, just bring it inside, and it's got all of our dishes, all of our whatever that we need to wash in there. And that makes it really simple. The other thing that's super nice is it's the perfect size to fit right here in this spot. And so we can slide it underneath there, and it takes up pretty much all the room, but it's completely concealed underneath the sleeping platform. So we can have this inside the car when we sleep. And that's really good because in Montana, you have to stow all of your food and kitchen stuff because of bears. Bears basically smell it, and so you have to have it inside the car. Now, that would technically attract a bear to our car if we left the windows open, but we don't do that. And so either way, it keeps us from getting fined, it keeps us from attracting bears, and we put it inside the car. Another one, something that I've just grown to love about our camping setup is this miniature propane tank. This thing is tiny, and as you can see, it barely fits underneath our sleeping platform. This has enough propane to last almost an entire summer for us. It'll easily do a 2-week trip. I've probably run this for maybe 30 days now without having to refill it. And it's really, really a good setup. And that goes straight to our stove. We just have an adapter for it. And so that's back here as well. And then possibly my favorite part of this entire build is our refrigerator. That's right, not a cooler, but a refrigerator. I have one of the smallest off-road refrigerators that I've seen on the market. And fitting with everything else, you can see it barely fits underneath the sleeping platform, but it's perfect because this prevents this thing from rattling around and bouncing around. It also insulates it a little bit, but this means that this can stay in the car while we sleep. And I would do a review on this fridge, but unfortunately, I don't think they offer it anymore. It's the Alpicool 22C or something like that. It's a cheaper Chinese one, but this thing has been so good to us. I have absolutely loved using it. It basically gives you the ability to make things cold instead of just keep things cold. And so it's got the digital readout and all that. It plugs into our second battery, which means that I can run it all night without any issues. I think last night we started at 12 point, you can barely see it in there, 12.7, and now we're down to 12.4 volts. So not a big draw on it. It was a piece of cake, and we've got all of our stuff in there that is keeping cool. Now we do have to restock this if we're doing a longer trip. And so we do about 3 days or 4 days on the road, and then we'll restock the fridge. But if we're thinking pretty clearly about what we're doing, we can really make the most of that. And then we've got drinks that we put in there as well for just keeping it full, because that's one of the things you got to do with a fridge. I'll also show you what's down here, because that makes it a lot easier to store all this stuff in here. We have recovery gear and a lot of stuff down here, and once you pull everything out, it's pretty easy to get to. Recovery gear, air compressor, spare parts and odds and ends, as well as some other essentials that I keep in the car. So there's the back side of our sleeping platform, and this is pretty good, or camping setup with the sleeping platform. It's pretty easy to pack, pretty easy to unpack, very convenient for us. Last thing I'll mention back here is I even have a subwoofer that fits in here. So I've got all of this stuff packed in the car and a fully built stereo system. And that sub actually puts out quite a bit of sound, which is pretty sweet. So there's all of that. And then we actually retain these middle seats as well. And this is a pretty simple thing, but we keep, this is my wife's bag and her clothes, and then she's got a day bag as well. Here's all of our dry or warm foods. We got snacks in here. We got stuff that doesn't need to be refrigerated. That goes in here for easy access and some snacking. Keep a water jug right here full of all the water we need. And then this is my bag. And so this allows us to have total access of this middle seat. So if we're with some friends, we pull into town and we want to ride together, we can, if we want to, throw all of this in the back and use this middle seat without too much hassle. So anyways, guys, there is my camping setup. That's how we pack our Montero. I will show you a clip right here of how the sleeping platform looks when it's out. All right, so here's what the sleeping platform looks like now that we've cleared everything off. And basically it's just an accordion, like I said. So it's got these piano hinges, and then it's got this thing right here. And that is what these pipes thread into. And I just went to the hardware store and found something that was the right height to put the platform level with the seat. So what ends up happening is this will come out and it lays mostly on the back of the seat right here. And so the back of the seat works to stabilize us. Obviously this is supported back here. And then you screw these guys in, and that presents us with the sleeping platform. So my wife and I are shorter than 6 feet. And so we can fit back here, the two of us, with our sleeping pad. And it protects us from bears and weather and all that. And so that's what it looks like accordion down. And then the nice thing is when you're done, you just put that back. You still have access and use of your second row seat. And it can kind of stay in the car all the time, so there's not this big production of, do we keep the sleeping platform in? Do we take it out? Whatever. So anyways, that's what this looks like when it's all out. All right, and then this is us all set up. We got our sleeping mat, and we have a fancy X-Ped mat that just happens to fit the perfect size of the sleeping platform. Tonight we're just doing these puffy blankets because it's pretty hot, but we got our sleeping bag on the side. And you can see here, we can stash all of our kitchen supplies, this crate, and then the fridge with the food can all go underneath here. And so it's out of the way of bears, whatever. And then Up here we have another sleeping bag, my wife's clothes and stuff, and my clothes and stuff up in the front seat. So the only problem with this setup is it does require that you move everything in and out to do it. But the advantage is you can sleep with all your stuff in the car and on this platform. So this has worked out really well for us. We have done 13 days in a row with this setup, and we love it. So I think it's something we're going to stick with. A lot of people love rooftop tents. I'm going to make a whole video about why I don't have a rooftop tent in my situation, but this has been a great solution for me and my wife. So there you go. That's what the sleeping platform looks like when it's out. That's when it's all set up. It is really comfortable. I've become totally spoiled sleeping in the back of the Montero. It's just so nice to get out of the elements. And so if you guys have any questions about how I've done this setup, go ahead and post them below. I'd love to help you guys out. Hopefully this helps inspire you with your camping setup. And ultimately, guys, just grab a tent, grab some friends, get out in the woods and enjoy it.